Okay, my friends, the most supreme shocker of all shocker du jours is about to occur. And now this is not an attack on anybody, but I've been getting overwhelmed with saying, well, you got to see this about the Great Pyramids. They found out it conducts electricity. I said, well, let me look at this. And I looked at it, and it's making it sound like, yeah, we found it, these wires wrap right around, and they found the wires and all this stuff. And I said, no. They did it like an ultrasound type of thing, where they could see that things were different. There was something structurally different in the ground. I'll go along with that. But that doesn't mean that they're wires and all that stuff. I don't think. If somebody can prove that to me, I'd love to see it. I can show you what they are. And they relate to this. And you say, well, how could they relate to that? And I said, well, I'm glad you asked. Because this, my friends, if you're a Mudfossil people, you know what it is already. I don't have to even tell you. But I will. That's just what I do. Look at this carefully. Just look at it. You got to look at the colors. You got to look at the patterns. And then you got to follow where it takes you. And where does it take you? To the Great Pyramids. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to find out in a minute. Okay, again, this is not an attack on anybody, but she's freaking out saying, wow, wait till they see, it's, you know, what they're showing, it's just not what is reality. Now, they're saying synthetic aperture radar, Doppler tomography, it's nothing more than like a CAT scan of the ground. And here's what she's saying they found.
And then from the results, they are able to create like 3D models of what they think the sound waves are showing.
The sound waves.
I can't talk, I'm so excited. So underneath the pyramid, they have found 8 huge cylindrical structures that are aligned perfectly in 2.
All right, now, they're seeing these tubes. I'm not saying they don't, but is there more than one explanation for this? Are these what she said? Where do you see what she's showing that they are? Like, this is an absolute fact? No, it's not.
And there's 4 pairs of them, and they go deep into the earth. So this is the 3D recreation of what the SAR scan shows. So you can see these 8 cylindrical pillars that go deep down, and then each pillar is surrounded by like a circular path or walkway or tube. Okay, this is not all. This is the beginning of it. Not only that, at the very base of the pyramid, like ground zero of the pyramid in the center, they have found 5 of these kind of stacked chambers, which are...
I just want to tell you, stacked chambers, that's not a problem at all. That's what these things do. Now, there's no sense to keep, if you want to watch this, you could.
Identical, look like they're kind of identical in size and form as the king's chamber of the Khufu pyramid, the one next door. So these are made with huge blocks.
All right, let me just jump ahead.
Underground structures that go deep down. And what is under that?
All right, so let me just jump ahead. She's showing these things like they're real.
We're not exactly sure. This is just what is showing up from the scans. Oh, and I'm sorry, did I tell you how deep these cylindrical tubes go under the pyramid? 648 meters.
That's no problem. What we're looking at as the pyramids are nothing more than scales on the body of the creature. So yes, the blood vessels would go down all that distance. This is, it is not a power station.
Yeah, there is evidence that there are...
This is the scan they're looking at. Say, oh, it's a power station. That's supposed to be the pyramid up there. I'm sorry, that just doesn't hold water in my book. And again, you did a nice job. I know you're excited. It's just not right. Okay, my outstanding friends, char du jour, keep your eye on this and this pyramid. Now, I am at the north is down this way. We're going to switch it to the other side, and there appears to be another one there. Now I'm coming around, boom. What's this? Why is that there? There's one on the other side, there's one here. Now you can see all the little lines here, like they built it with bricks. I can't deny that it looks like that. I absolutely agree with that. However, I have a different take on it. And there's the 3 pyramids right in a row, and they face exactly the same side going down this way. Now I'm going to show you some ancient pictures, well, some pictures that were somebody drew long ago. But when I look at this, I see some things here that I don't understand if it's just a photography or what exactly happened here at the top of this pyramid. And I mean, I understand all the little lines in here. I have something here that I can show you that I think is similar to this. Now, what is going on here? I don't know. But I have another shot from the top, I believe, of the Great Pyramid, which is this one down here. And I have shots real close up right at the top. And as far as I'm concerned, these were not originally constructed. These are, well, I'll show you what they are. Okay, this is from a much smaller dragon, but it is a dragon scale of some sort. And that's the tab that locked the scale in. Now, of course, it's pyramid shaped. Now, you should be able to see some of these little little lines going across here. Very similar to the way you see in the pyramids. And of course, the top. Now, there are some things about this that you wouldn't notice unless you took Mudfossil instruction. Now, there is blood right there. I'm going to put this in a microscope. You'll see. That is, hold on, let me back out of this. Maybe turn this light off. Let me get set up. Hold on. All right, that's the pyramid. I think that's blood coming out of there. I'd like to be able to see that. And there's one on each side. This is the scale I have here, and there's blood right there in the microscope. Here it is up in the microscope right there. Now you see those red spots? All right, let me see if I can. You see it? That's blood. And this is where there was blood servicing this scale. And there's an outlet too. So this is blood coming in and out of that scale. Now I'm going to turn it over and show you the other spot. Okay, here we go. We're at the top of the scale. There's my thumb, boom, boom, on my finger. Now, coming down that scale, right at the very bottom is where the blood comes out. You see it? That's where the blood comes out. Now, you can see all the little, same lines in it. Now, I'm going to just go underneath the bottom, all right, to where the blood is coming out of the other side here. Hold on. Is right over here. If I can find it, here it is. Right there. That's where the other blood spot is. So it's got it coming in and out, and it's got all those little lines, and let me show it to you in a different light. All right, you've seen it from the top coming down. Let me just rub that off. There's a crown right at the top, and coming down that side, over this side, that side, and this side. It's just it's a pyramid, basically. And there's blood coming in and out of it. Now, I've looked at the chambers inside the Great Pyramid, and I'm pretty sure they're biology. Huh. I wonder if I never noticed that before. I'm going to have to go and look at that close. This is what's cool about this. I never saw that before. And that black dot is from a vein. Vein blood is black and turns real hard, and that's it. Now I'm going to turn up the light a little bit. I can't get any closer. That's the best I'm going to do. This microscope is not all that good, but it serves its purpose. Now I'm going to turn the light up, and you see right there is where the vein is. That's where the little tip allowed it to leak out. and that's the black vein blood. Now all the rest is from the scale. It's just the outside of the scale of the creature. Now the brighter I turn up the light, the less you'll be able to see. See, now you can see how there's, if I can just barely get light on it, sometimes you can really see. Otherwise, all of the other things get overwhelmed with light and all you see is brightness. If I turn this thing up real bright, you just see nothing but whiteness, you know, see what I'm saying? It's a balancing act. But that, I can tell you right now, that right there is the vein. And the scale, there's no question, it's some kind of a dragon scale. The thing that I have right here in my shop. You know, I'm looking at this and it's crazy. But that little black dot could be that little tiny spot there. All right, I never saw that before. Now, down here is where some blood comes out. Over here, I never saw that before. Well, I mean, I have seen around the edges where places, I'm pretty sure where there was blood. And I'm going to show you some old maps, and I'm going to show you some pictures. And I think there's an arch, a support there that they always thought was a doorway. I don't know what they thought. That they put it in there just, I don't know why. But I can see it was caving in. They put it in there to stop the caving in of a big blood vessel. So we're going to take a look at that, take a look at some of the old maps and so forth. Here we go. And again, this is what I was showing you. There's blood from there. That little black dot is there where that vein is. All right, this is what I call slurpy. See that little globby stuff there? That's where it slides. Now the other one was over here, the vein, artery blood right there. See? And this, as far as I could tell, that's a tab that held this into the body of the creature. And there's a very sharp definition there. Somehow that hooked into something else, and the whole thing was a body armor. That's all I can tell you. That's what I see. But I know there's blood in here, and I actually have done a catalase test, and it did react. Catalase is in all biology, even plants, animals, and what it does is it blows off extra oxygen. And you put hydrogen peroxide on blood and it bubbles up. And that's when you know you had something biological. Bacteria, plants, animals, it doesn't matter. But it's from biology. And that is too. That right there, my friends, is some kind of dragon scale. Just as I believe these were. They're all aligned absolutely flawlessly in a row. You see the face? You see the face? You see the face? There's no difference to any of them. And I know they coated the outside of them. Yes, that I do know, because I've seen somewhere there was ones with the little bumps on them, and I know about what the bumps are too. And so they did this very similar construction in some places as they did over in Peru. Now let's look at this here. What do we got here? It doesn't even look like it's a pyramid shape. Is that correct? What's going on there anyway? That's the little one. So, as far as I'm concerned, those are dragon scales. And as I have shown you, or will show you, the system that leads up through the Nile, I believe, is the digestive system or some bodily, structure, and the scales were on it. All right, I'm just going to give you my best shot right off the top. This is from the guts of some kind of a dragon. And the scales are way down the end. You keep coming down the guts, the guts, the guts, the guts. The scales are right down here, where the what do you call it, the pyramids are, right there. These are scales on that dragon. Now all the rest of them, I don't know what happened to them, but these are totally aligned like scales running right down the dragon's back. And the ancient texts and pictures show them that these are dragon scales running down. They almost show them looking like they're on top of tree trunks. And they probably didn't understand either. They probably thought they were built out of trees. Let me show you that. But all coming down here, and then all of that is from the digestive juices given a really good fertile territory, because that's out of the guts of some kind of a creature. This is some kind of bowels of the beast. And you get over here, there's some serious interaction going on between the black and the red blood. And you see that? You guys are mud fossil people. You can see, you don't have to be. It's quite obvious. This is not, like I always say, it's not hills and valleys. This isn't just why is this black and it's red? And how come this doesn't have all those little tentacle looking things going into it? There's a transferation of something here. It looks to me like it might have something to do with, well, I don't know. I have no idea. But all of this is biology. This whole thing, this is a gigantic creature. It's not one little puppy creature. And there must have been dragon scales all over this whole thing at one time. And let me show you the ancient pictures and we'll go from there. But don't forget, this runs out from this area where, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing but biology going on down here. And they always used to say, where's the source of the Nile? Well, it's biology, actually. They could never find it. This is, the whole thing here is biology. It's just absolutely stunningly large, but so is a bunch of the other ones I have shown. This is not really exceptional. It's stunning, and it's amazing nobody's ever realized this before, but it's nothing you would ever expect, basically, so nobody's ever thought about it, and he probably people have. I think Michelangelo was saying the Earth is exactly the same as the human body, and it is, because it's a creature's body, or it's bodies. So all this comes out of here. What this is probably part of the whole thing. It ends up going all the way up the dragon scales. Now here's how they had it portrayed in the ancient texts. All right, this is Babylon, they called it. Well, and here they go, right down the line. And they look like they're tree trunks. You see this? And then they built the pyramids on tree trunks. They almost show it looking like that. And there's a bunch of them. There's not just one or two. They run right all the way down the line. And I say those are dragon scales. And the tree trunks, they show them as tree. They look to me like they show them as tree trunks. And that's not a bad conclusion. Yeah, they're giant trees, and they used bits and pieces of them and made pyramids. But that's not the case. These are dragon scales. And if you look inside of the pyramids, they should be able to tell if that's biology. And I've looked inside them. Some of it is hard to be fully certain of what you're seeing, but could they have transported these huge stones in there? I don't know. Could they have shaped the stones that were in there? When I talk about red granite, all this is nothing more than blood. Red granite is a bloody tissue. Red granite is a bloody tissue. You see this? This is right way up the top of the pyramid looking down. And of course the little spike or whatever they had at the top is gone, and a lot of the casing stones have fallen off. And you can see how blocky it is. And you see that black one right there? Why is that black, and why do we have like a hole right in there? I can tell you why, in my estimation, is the black is vein, and the whole parts are arteries. Now, you see all these little dots in the center of these? Not everyone has it, but a lot of them do. Now, did somebody come up and drill those holes in there? Maybe. I can't say that's not true, because they carve things in there, and it looks like some of the holes are drilled. I can't discount that whatsoever, and all of them might have been drilled, but they are there. Now, I have even a closer shot of this, so don't forget, this is coming down right down the top, and of course you got all the blocks, and this has the same blocks. It's just that they're much smaller, so you really can't see them. But I'll show you what a tendon does look like. And these are nothing more than just like tendons. Tendons are blocky like this. And they're just like these little tendons. They have that little blocky structure in it. And these are what tendons look like right here, coming up. That's like right at the top. We saw it. They mimic the scales. They're not scales, but they mimic them in the structure of their fibrils. And here's what the top looks like. They come up, there's a pile of these little squares, and I showed you they're layer after layer after layer, and they're little blocks. That's what a tendon looks like. All right, you see it close? You see the little blocks? And then you see over there, that's what they look like. And they're made out of collagen fibrils, and they're tough as hell. And they resist all kinds of different things. Collagens are like your skin and that type of stuff, and the fascia, coatings, membranes. Very, very exceptional strength, first of all. And you see all the different colors? That indicates different tensile strengths. Different types. There's like 20 or so collagens, more than that. And every one of these colors is a different chemistry, which means it's either got more strength or more flexibility or whatever. And in a bundle, they are just unbelievably tough. I mean, tendons are just incredible. And they're under tension all the time. That's why they call them tendons. And here's what they look like when they break flat off, and they do. And these are just absolutely gigantic. Your Earth is covered with gigantic creatures, and those dragon scales now are pyramids, as far as I'm concerned. And here's right up close and personal. Now, here's these little holes in them. Did they drill those? That I don't know. I don't know. I see them carving their names in them, but this one here, that's artery, that's vein blood. And it looks like to me the artery was here close, and that's normally the case. You're going to have an artery and you're going to have a vein. Nobody put that there. That is artery blood as far as I'm concerned. And these blocks are all the different looking size blocks, and that's what happens in these fibrils. The casing stones, yes, they smooth them off, and I've seen that they did that. I can't discount that whatsoever. However, this is more of the structure of a tendon. Okay, this is my theory based on my dragon scale, which is virtually identical where they would have chiseled their way through. So this one here starts out here. They went down through this passageway down into the subterranean chamber, which probably ends up going way, way, way deep in the earth. They call it the well. And it comes down from the grand gallery. Now this I really cannot explain. The rest I can. Now, what do we see on my dragon scale? Right there is where I showed you where the blood is on the side. Okay, that's where, and I can show it again in the microscope. That's where the blood comes in, which is basically here. Now, what does it do in there? It runs down through an angle like this, which is what mine does. Okay, it runs down through an angle like this, and where does it come out? Back here, right there. All right, so it's running down just like this, and this is got that channel just like that would have underneath. It looks like to me they're calling this natural rock. Well, it's all, anyway, I'm saying the blood goes exactly the same pathway as this. Now, coming up, this could even be the black little dot right there, the grotto. That's where the vein was. Remember I showed you that little black dot? I mean, it could be identical. And there are three of them right in a row there. That's what the dragon scales do. They're one bigger than one, smaller than one smaller. Now, is that what they were? I don't know. But they sure look like they fit exactly the same. That's where the blood was coming in here. And then it filters down through and comes out this side. And this does the same thing. It filters through, comes out the other side. This is a buttress to keep it from collapsing. There's, they say, a horizontal passage. There's a blood vein, a blood vessel that goes in here. This is all blood vessel working together. This is blood, this is all blood, this is blood, and this is blood. And there was a hole here, and it's collapsing, so they put up an A-frame to keep it from collapsing. You see that? That's not put up there for decoration. That's put up there to keep it from collapsing down. You see, look, follow the pathway of it. It's collapsing. It's collapsing. There was, I'm sure, an artery here at one time. And the artery was going to let this thing collapse. So you can see even a different color of the blocks underneath here. This is an artery. I'm almost certain this area was a red blood area. And when they knew it was going to collapse, they got up there and somehow they put these fillers in there so they would lay on that. But you're still seeing the curve inward. It's, you know, it has eroded a little bit, but they did a good job. But you can see the whole thing. They're all coming in here because that was at one time an artery. That's all I can take out of it. Now this is the best I can get from inside, so I really don't have much to show you what's inside the pyramids, but this I'm sure is biology. All right, these scales are damn hard, so I don't know what it's made out of, but a little water and a little looking at it close, I can see it's biology. I mean, it's in my mind, yes, I'm seeing biology because I want to see biology, but I think I am seeing it. And I know they can get in here because they're in here now, or they were here at one time, so they could test that stuff. Is it similar to biology? And when they show that red granite or whatever it was, that could just be biology as well. And you know, let me just show you something. Inside your body, you got all kinds of different organs and all kinds of things. Well, this right here is a lung. All right, that's a lung. What kind of creature? I don't know. It died in a great flood like they all do, flat on its like that. And it boiled off, and this was the lung. Right there is where the air tube goes in. And they seal off, and then everything transitions due to nucleophilic invasion. But usually you got one flat side, which is in this case. This is a different story. This is just a lung laying there. But what I'm getting at is, just because it says it's red granite, that doesn't mean anything special. That's in everywhere. They said there's all kinds of stuff that they just never paid any attention to. When you see all these colors, it means you got blood things going on in there. You got transition metals. Here's another little, this is a little tiny lung from some other type of creature. Let me put a little water on this, and you see this one here. The same thing. That's where the tube would have gone in. All the fascia is missing on this one. And that right there is that little tab that I keep talking about that I discovered. Nobody knows about it except me, because I have seen it in its magnificence without any pleura attached whatsoever. And there's two little tubes that run into there to the pleura, which is gone, which is like a rubber bag that coats it, and it sends the fluids into that rubber bag to protect it. And we should be looking at that. See those two little tubes going down there? We should be looking at that as a source of biology that was never understood, because the fluid bag that it supports was never even known I discovered that in 2015. They wrote a paper on it and says, yeah, that exists, and it's the biggest organ in the human body runs through this fluid-filled highway. And this is what controls what gets in and out of each bag. That's why you got 200 types of cancers or 100 types of cancers. Every one of them is invasion through that bag. Well, this one's gone. But that little flap is the regulator that allows different fluids to flow from your body. This stuff always goes 6 different directions when I get into this, because it's all about the earth isn't understood, biology isn't understood, the human body isn't understood, chemistry isn't understood, nothing's understood, history's not understood. So that's how I get into all these different rambles. But if you're here, you probably understand that's my modus operandi. So I think this is perfectly well understood as just biology. As far as I'm concerned, that's it. It's about all I can tell you. And they're showing, this is kind of hard to understand why they're showing big blocks here. And all of the rest of them seem sort of similar, but they're showing some smaller and some bigger, but they are in mine. You can see there's bigger ones and smaller ones. You see big blobs coming here and there, and little tiny ones here and there. And that was done, I don't know what year, 1542? No, I don't know. Long time ago. Now listen to this. This creature, as far as I'm concerned, is based around the Nile River, is the main body cavity. It's the longest river in the world, called the father of African rivers. Nile rises south of the equator, flows northward through the northeastern Africa to drain into the Mediterranean Sea. It has a length of about 4,132 miles. That's pretty long. Now, they're saying it's formed by 3 principal streams. Well, they always could never find the source of the Nile. Nobody ever knew about it. The name is derived from the Greek Nilos, which probably originated from the Semitic root Nala, meaning a valley or a river valley, and hence by an extension of the meaning of a river. Now, the ancient Egyptians called the river or black, an allusion to color of the sediments carried by the river when it is in flood. Nile mud is black enough to have given the land itself an oldest name. It's biology, that's why. It's biology flowing through there. And again, they really never could find the source of the Nile, and I still, when I look at it, you really can't see the source of it. But here's where it's coming from. The guts of this beast. This is the longest river in the world. It's coming out of here. Well, how could it get just little bitty things here and still little bitty, and then all of a sudden it comes into this area here and it fluffs up. What's going on there? We're into the digestive area, I think. And it would appear to me. And this is, you got black and red. Black is usually the artery, vein blood, and that's the artery blood. You got something going on here where the black is dumping carbon dioxide or picking up oxygen, I don't know what. Something's going on here, chemistry, a serious amount of chemistry going on between these little ducts. All right, this is red blood, and this is the used blood. Now, it comes up through here, all the way up through here. This is still the Nile, all the way up the Nile, all the way up the Nile, and then it starts to get nice and big and run out into a nice area where everything grows, because there's plenty of that black mud they're talking about. And you come up more and more and more, and I'm sure there was scales everywhere. And then you're up in the area where your pyramids are. Now, whether they used all these other bricks to build buildings and stuff, I don't know. But these three are the ones that everybody pays attention to. I don't see any other ones down here. I didn't really look real careful, but you know, they're not sticking up. Nobody's mentioned them, so I don't imagine there's too many hanging around. However, all I can tell you is I'm seeing those as dragon scales. And Typhon has the same sort of thing. Hanging way out the end of his tail, he's got dragon scales here. They're a little different, but they're not all that different. See, he's got layered way back. These other ones are maybe just at the very tip of the tail or something. Because this is a pretty good sized tail still at this point. And these scales are not like the pyramid scales. But way at the end of his tail, they might be. Because this is not the end of his tail. This is just from here, and then it goes way, way, way back here. Well, this is where it ends. Now, there may be some that are similar to this way at the very end. You see all those little dots? You gotta let it settle in for a second. There might be some right at the very, very tip. Like here, you know. Because this is still the dragon's tail. But out here, I don't know whether they're feathers or they're still dragon scales. We don't know what kind of creatures we're dealing with in the first place. This one I do know is Typhon, and he was written about in the ancient texts. It's not hard to understand who he was. And he runs the entire and all the way across North Africa, boom, to where his head is, and still got dragon scales all over here too. You see? All completely written about, and him attacking the gods, and the gods turned themselves into animals to try to get away, and Zeus slashed his throat with his great and mighty sword, and there's the slash across his throat. Black and red blood, they don't mix. All right, vein and artery blood, they separate because of their polarities. And that's here. This is just decaying moisture out of the body. This is his red flared eye, exactly what they say. He's spouting all his nasty venom at the fish who was a god, turned herself or him or whoever it was into a fish to try to get away, and Typhon got him in the back. And you can see all the blood vessels and everything in here. It ate right through. Very noxious stuff. And you can see right down into the blood vessels. You can see veins and arteries and capillaries and lymphatic system and all the blood vessels. I mean, it's undeniable. So these things were real, and my take is that the pyramids were from dragon scales, and they didn't construct them. And showing that this stuff here, right? This is what it kicks it off for me. There's a guy, and I got one here. It's the same thing. It's the same blood right in the same spot. They came right down. They dug right through, and they came out the other side, right over here, right down here. And in between here and there, there's going to be some more plumbing. All right, and coming up, we know that we got some vein blood coming out of here, and in that size thing, that could be big enough to make an impact. So that's my spiel. Okay, just a little more shocker. Everybody should by now know about Quetzalcoatl. It goes all the way up the East Coast. The green mountains are his green feathers, because green is what feathers make things. You put feather meal, you can buy it, ground up feathers, you put it on, and it makes green mountains. Well, maybe not mountains, but it makes green. Now, all the way back, the feathers go. All the way back the feathers go, over the shoulder, up the hill, around the neck, and down the head. Well, what do we see now? Well, we see the head of Quetzalcoatl. This is his headdress, and it also is quite green because feathers make things grow green. Now this is his throat, another river system. The river systems are the digestive system all the way down his throat, all the way down. It comes around, and then it goes down into his throat, down all the way, wraps around here, all the way up the East Coast. That's his shoulder coming all the way over the top. And he comes all the way around here to the whole side of the East Coast. That's Quetzalcoatl. Now what does he look like in the ancient texts? Well, there he is right there. That's him. Here's his his feathered headdress. Here's his beard. Here's his body and all his little green mountains. All right, so we saw that, right? You saw it on the Google Earth. Here he is. Here's his feathered headdress. And their feathers there. You can go in and look at them. You can actually see the feathers. Well, I might as well show you. I hate to make statements that I don't back up with any evidence. These are feathers right here. If you come home right down in them, you can see the vein right in the middle of the feather. You always gotta wait. You see it right there? You see it coming right down the middle. Same thing here. And running down the sides. This is his feathered headdress. All right, there's his feathers. Now, that's why everything's going nice and green in here amongst the feathers. So here he is with his headdress. Here he is here. Here he runs up the whole East Coast. That, I would say, is pretty undeniable. And not only that, my friend Greg Morrison sent me a feather from the side of the road from this. These are feathers. And he sent me a chunk right out of here, which is this piece right here, 3 inches thick. 3 inches thick. And it looks like a turkey to me. This is a turkey feather. You see that? Greg, thank you, my good friend. Greg is an absolute fabulous source of things. I think he sent me this dragon scale too, as far as I can remember. I'm pretty sure that came from Greg. Greg, you've been a fabulous... Oh, he sent me other things. A huge artery too. You want to see something? Wait a minute. This is just... there's just too much stuff to show you. I've shown that before. It's about this big around. It's an artery. And when I sanded it down and smoothed it out and buffed it, you could see every layer of the artery exactly identical to what... You know, I got to show you. All right, look at this. This is an artery. That thing is bigger around in my arm. And that's just the blood inside. Now, these are the layers of the artery, and they're identical. And I mean, when I'm saying identical, they are so identical, these different layers. Well, I'll show you that too. All right, check this out. That is the artery. This is what the artery looks like close and personal. With these different colors and these different layers, right down until you get right to the blood. And here's what it looks like. Look at this. I mean, this is no difference whatsoever. It's 100% exactly identical. Identical. You see this? Even the little dots are in there. You may not see it in the other one. The dots are in here. It's the same, it's identical. There is no difference whatsoever. And that thing is good size. Very good size. It's probably, you know, about this big around. And it's still saturated with blood, packed with blood. And you know, it rehydrates just like that. You put water on it, it just turns to mud. I can get that, just scrape it and turn it, make it turn right back into blood. That's all it is artery blood. Okay, they're getting a lot of action on this video about the pyramids, and you know, I got to be honest with you. If you think I'm wrong, I'd like to know why you think I'm wrong. But here she's saying,
you're literally not going to believe what they've just found underneath the Khafre, the middle pyramid in Giza. I can't believe it myself, but I'm going to show.
Well, that's because it's not real. You know, it's exciting to think they found these things, but when they say, guess what we found, and then they show you a picture, a blurred image or something, and say, well, it's got to be a power station. No. And when I show the things that I show and the evidence that I have to support the things I show, I'm shut down. So anyway, let's just call it quits for today. But again, gigantic stuff. Bones turn to stone. Gigantic feathers. Dragons. I have DNA tested, CAT scanned human beings that are gigantic. I have a hair follicle around here somewhere from a guy that's probably at least a couple 100 feet tall. Right there, this is a hair follicle. I've shown these a million times too. You just look up a hair follicle. Erector pili muscle goes here, sebaceous gland is here, the hair shaft is there, the two little vein and artery are there, and the root ball goes straight up through. And that's 2 inches wide. Ours are somewhat smaller. So it's time to reconsider the things that we see using Mudfossil eyes. I love you all. All right, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, from those images that she was showing, I mean, all freaked out and showing the wires are showing up, you know, no. I don't agree with that at all. If they can dig down and find those things, well, that's a different story. But when you have a body and a creature and it has plumbing running throughout it, which is the arteries and veins and the bones and all the structure of, you know, everything. And a creature that size, even nerve fibers would be, you'd have to take into account. Veins and arteries are huge, just gigantic. You'll be able to easily walk through them. And this blood is going to collect in certain areas and create, you know, your red granites and all these different structures inside. These little blocky things could have created all these little arches and all the kind of things they see in them. They just never considered the fact that it could be biology. And when I say biology, it could be the tendons, which are, well, tendon-ish stuff, that blocky stuff. God used all kinds of things to do the same kind of things. Those are a real hard, tendinous connective tissue, keratins, kerogens, and they are what collagens. They create the tendons, connective tissues, the really fibrous stuff in your body that has to really be able to pull and stretch and rub and all that. That's a lot of work you do every day. Just getting around is incredible. So, and it's getting more incredible every day. But anyway, it's time to look, just to consider the alternatives. And that little grainy picture, trust me, that's nothing to get real excited about. The things I just showed you, I think are exciting, yes, because they show these things are pretty damn sure true. And the ancient texts, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going with Apollodorus. I read that and I see Typhon, I see the fish. They changed themselves into animals to try to get away. Typhon was fully understood. It was the biggest monster on Earth, basically, which, you know, there are bigger ones, yes. Now, the Egyptians, I don't think they knew about the Mesoamericans and Quetzalcoatl and all that, because he's just as big as the other ones. Quetzalcoatl's bigger. So, it's time to start thinking a whole new way. Hold on.